already know well, and it's ZertoN over here in the southern side. It's the Chinese going with the straggler tree opening. And who do we have over in the north?
On the north side, we got SortOf in the color blue playing as the Abbasid dynasty. Going with a very traditional opening, not going with the 2-2, just going for the straight, normal, feudal timing.
Yeah,
Nothing crazy so far.
Yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary. Same thing with the Chinese. Grab the straggler, does the mill drop off trick, and then usually you'll go for 3 extra wood, and then you'll build a village.
Indeed, he's the extra villager on wood.
Oh, he pulled it back a little early. There it is. Village goes down, immediately going over to the food after that. And just kind of starting to open on up this feudal age. Big question's going to be just how we talked about last game with China versus French. Same thing here. Usually China, they want to, drop their song Dynasty, but in this matchup they usually are a little bit more immediate into the 2TC play, and in reaction ABBA, they can go 3, they might go 4 even, and the big advantage to them is just their food ability. They can transition into the food production so much better because their villagers are half price, so every extra TC that they're building in comparison to China is just that much more effective in its payoff timing, so you can have a really nice timing attack with military or just smaller aggression, able to trickle in some horsemen to do some extra annoyance.
Indeed, it's going to be up to ZertoN how fast or slow he wants this game to go, because of what you just said. Exactly, it's whenever you see a second TC on a Chinese and you're Abbasid, you're just like, okay, I can go 3, maybe 4 TCs even, because I'm going to have the same food expenditure that you're going to have, but I'm going to be producing more villagers than you. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what a lot of people I feel like fail to realize at times. Sometimes they just see that second TC go down, like, all right, I don't know what to do now. And it's like, no. It takes a lot to pay for. It takes a lot for the villagers to pop out to actually pay off for how many resources you put into that TC and how much extra food you're expending for it too. Huge drop off of sheep though for ZertoN. 11 extra sheep being put under that mill. That's going to give him a nice ability just to have a long-term food source, which is what we saw was one of the main drawbacks, one of the main pressures, and what we've already been talking about with this matchup has been Abbasid's food compared to China.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, this is very huge, gathering more than half of the sheep on the map, because not only he gets a lot of food, but he denies all that food from ZertoN. ZertoN only is working on like 6 sheep carcasses plus like 1 extra following his scout. That's not a lot of food.
And SortOf looks like he is going for the earlier wheelbarrow build this game, as he didn't opt for it the other game that we saw him on the Abbasid, had to build a little differently. And this just shows you got to have a lot of different build orders in your arsenal. It's not always the just map dependent, it's also civilization you're playing against dependent. So going with the wheelbarrow opening, I think he has enough for it, I assume. We'll see.
He's gonna definitely he's getting fresh food stuff first, because he's not gonna have
he only has
enough.
3 on it. Usually it's 4 for both. So
Yeah.
fresh food stuff's first, you are correct there, and then should end up getting the wheelbarrow after.
Yeah, he still has a lot of villagers on gold, so he's definitely getting some upgrades at least. Going for the second TC, nothing too fairly fast golden age. Wow, he's going for fast golden age and fast second TC. This is very greedy, but rightfully so against the Chinese. There's nothing they can do against you before like the 6 or 7 minute mark, so he's fine.
What'd you say?
Yes.
Oh, dang it. I thought this was going to be a Barbican rush. I saw him moving forward, and I didn't think they were all going to go to the stone. But it was nope. Barbican going safe on the stone. In between both wood lines, it's going to be hard to poke and prod the Chinese economy. We can all wish, we can all hope for some extra early action with civilization sometimes. But he was not thinking what I was hoping for. Just going for the safer. Barbican, he's going to go 2TC Song like we talked about, and SortOf, I'm sure, is going to be doing exactly what we said as well. More of an economic opening for both of these players. It's going to be about 8, 9, 10 minutes. We might not even see any action before Castle Age, but once we do start seeing action, it's going to start unfolding very, very quickly. First Stables does come out. You know, no stone aggression going to be happen, and the mill is very close to the town center.
Yeah, this table is a mistake. 100%. If you're seeing your opponent going for 2TC Song, you definitely need to save all your wood, all your stone, and just go 3, maybe 4TC. Like, this table should not be here, because what is this going to do? Where are you going to send this Forceman to do any damage? There's nowhere. You can't harass the stone because it's under Barbican. You can't harass the food because it's under TC. The wood line is also under TC, and the Chinese is not gathering any gold. Like, this table is completely wasted.
Reason why I argue a bit with you is for TC placement and positioning. The TC for China, some players opt for just next to their own TC because they want to use all the resource drop-off points to get extra drop-off, extra gold. So that might be what we see. Yeah, it is what we see. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely right. Stables, a little bit of a mistake. Not going to be able to produce any sort of aggression with it until ZertoN needs to start moving out onto other food sources or other, you know, resource nodes, but there's so much sheep still.
Yeah, he has so much food under his TC, he can stay there completely safe until Castle.
And he just picks up 5 more sheep. He already had 3 I saw, but 2 more in the backside that was missed. And I mean, we said 11 was the drop off earlier. That means 16 have been dropped off after the initial 3 or 4 that were already on it. Oh, so we're talking about like 20 sheep for Chinese. That almost can seal a game.
Yeah, this is way too much food for China. This is going to be very, very hard to punish, and he is completely fine with this. He eventually needs to move into the gold, but only needs like 2 spearmen, and he's completely fine.
Yep, and already has that barracks, already has that range, so it looks like he might be going for the same composition we saw a game ago, but this time he's got a nice second TC down much quicker. And it's already starting to turn online. He's 8 vills ahead as 2TC Song is already online, and that 3rd TC / potential 4th TC yet to go down from the Abbasid.
Yeah, this was what I was saying, that stable was a mistake, because he could have already a 3rd TC down and producing, looking at the resources, because the stable is 150 wood, plus you don't need that many villagers on food. You can survive with 2, with 3, maybe even 2 villagers on food, until you get your second TC up. So he could have easily a 3rd TC down, maybe even working on the 4th.
Yeah, the question is going to be will SortOf do some a little bit of aggression, as ZertoN is going to have to start expanding on out, and just how SortOf will be too. But again, the mobility is going to be the key. Is he going to poke, prod, and push and pull ZertoN all around the map like we saw last game? Or will ZertoN get these walls up a little bit earlier and solidify this Chinese defense and maybe be the one to put pressure on SortOf instead?
Absolutely. Give me a second. I'm going to close the window and let the dog out.
No worries, no worries. Additional military building being dropped, archery range, as well as a blacksmith. So SortOf is planning on getting a little bit of aggression. Maybe wants to get some military upgrades, primarily ranged armor for Chukanu that are sure to about to be massing up. And a second archery range even is dropped as well. So those things, if they're supervised, can pop out these Chukanu 6 seconds a pop.
Okay, I am back. Now without dog. So, yeah. Chukanus.
And ranged armor already coming in reaction. Double range, obviously. And double TC. Walls starting to try to be finished. That one single horseman has just circled around. And, you know, again, TCs are online, but ZertoN is up 12 villagers already.
Yeah, that's the power of Song, 2TC Song, and why you need your 3rd, even 4th TC as Abbasid, because you cannot keep up with that villager production. Even though they are cheap and you're saving resources over time, by just the sheer amount of villagers that you're going to be up against, it's really hard to keep up in economy. In the meantime, we'll see what sort of decides to do.
Scout pushes up, sees the villager building the wall. I'm about to do this again. I don't know why it's being weird. And Scout on the northern side for ZertoN looks like it's about to be denied by 2 horsemen chasing it on down. And here comes that immobile mass from ZertoN, just like last game. And has some spears protecting the villager on the eastern side, maybe securing up his next food source of a berries after the back deer and back berries that he already has.
Yep, sort of needs to start doing something on the map because he's behind him in economy, and he should know he's behind in economy because his second TC was second and third TC were so delayed against Song. So he really needs to start putting pressure onto ZertoN. But ZertoN has Chuganus and Spearmen, which are really good against everything SortOf has right now.
Yeah. ZertoN just needs to get this grouped up together, but if it's kind of split like it is, which is what SortOf forced ZertoN to do last game, was split this immobile mass, then that will allow SortOf to only take winning fights, only take the fights that he knows is going to be beneficial for him. 8 horsemen, 9 archers compared to the Chukanu and Spears numbers, which are favoring ZertoN, but value, dead even. So is kind of somewhat this micro war if it is military mass versus military mass. But you don't really ever have to micro Chukanu. They just kill everything.
Indeed, you just need to maybe right-click the first couple of horsemen and then you forget about them. SortOf, it seems like he's looking to go into castle now. He has enough. He has way too much gold, and he has a lot of villagers on foot. So I'm assuming castle.
Yeah, all he has to do is idle production, especially horseman production, for just a bit. And I think we just saw like 600 food get dropped off in just the blink of an eye. Astronomical clock tower, though, is halfway done, almost 3/4 of the way. But when SortOf clicks up, it's going to take 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Yeah,
ever since that click up.
It's going to take a while for the castle age to come through, and then the upgrades is another good chunk of time. Even though, yeah, he's not even in tier 2 golden age, so it's gonna take a while.
And there it is. Veteran Chukanu immediately being upgraded. Wedged rivets on its way as well, so opting for ranged armor as he saw the archer mass on the other side already, and we'll probably get some rage damage as well to follow. I would have preferred the rage damage first with having Chukanu.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like range damage will have been much better in this situation. But maybe he has a plan, and we'll see how it unfolds. On the flip side, ZertoN is starting to run low on food. His deer is almost completely gone. He needs to move on to the other deer, and he just has berries left. A bunch of berries, but it's still berries.
Yeah, he does have at least 2 full sets of berries as he just moved on to the ones all the way in the south. He has that deer pack close to his wall, so maybe he feels somewhat okay about eventually moving out to that. But yes, he definitely will have to transition into a granary farm boom at some point, and he has a huge location to build just the most perfect granaries if he decides to do so.
Yeah, he has a really good base layout in that regard. Monks is starting to come out. He's looking to grab those relics because when you're against Abbasid, you're likely to get a castle before them, and therefore you can grab all the relics on the map. SortOf, though, walling off 2 of the relics, so he might be able to secure...
Just wait. It's going to be a mangonel. I think. Typically when SortOf ages up, he tries to drop a mangonel like sooner than later. First he needs to prioritize a couple of these upgrades like he did. Veteran horseman, ranged armor, and preservation of knowledge as well. But will he get the mangonel down when he needs to do it? Palace guards moving forward, Chukanu moving forward, and it's not just those. There's some hardened spearmen as well, burning down a stables in the frontline production while taking town center fire from 15 arrows inside. And it's not even like it's villagers idling. That is military units just waiting for the timing push.
Yeah, Villager count is slowly starting to equalize, but still sort of very, very behind. He really needs that mango now. He has enough resources. He just needs to pop it down and before taking this engagement, because if he takes this engagement later on, it's not gonna go pretty for him.
Not at all. Palace Guard and Crossbow over on the front side deer of SortOf. So a couple of these vills are going down. Engagement goes in. Chukanu taking damage from the TCs, and Spears getting, doing their job being that front line, and a couple Palace Guards tanking on up. Spears closing in on the Lancers, and it looks like the Lancers get picked up. Bad fight for SortOf in a sense, except for the extra TC damage coming on in. He idles off of the wood lines on the western side near his third TC as well, and archers are having to run on away with Palace Guards chasing them down.
Absolutely, yeah. Like we said before the engagement, this wasn't a good fight for SortOf, not even getting his veterancy until way late into that fight. This is a very rough position to be in. He really needed that mangonel before the fight, but ZertoN identifying that sharp timing and going in before SortOf had any time to prepare. So we're in this situation now in which ZertoN has full control of the front side of SortOf base.
Yeah, hasn't gotten to the backside, which is really where it could get scary, is when you just throw a couple units all the way into the back end. It forces your opponent to spread out their military, spread out their army. Instead, though, has just kind of not found too much, nothing too crazy yet, other than, 5 Vil kills is still nothing to, joke around about. It will end up adding up over time, but the military cost and how many units he threw away during this was significant. Will it be a transition into additional different military units? Is he gonna try, transition into more Lancers, or Palace Guards seem to be the choice of what he's continuing to mass up?
Yeah, fortunately for SortOf, ZertoN just ran out of food in the middle of that push, so he had to slow down and transition into farms. That bought him enough time to be able to stabilize. But now ZertoN is almost fully set up with his farms, and this is going to get scary once again for SortOf. He really needs to start getting some high quality units, some siege on the map, in order to be able to fight against what ZertoN is going to throw at him.
Yeah, very, very conservative stable going down for ZertoN, making sure to protect up his gold veins, and he's building walls in front of that. Could have been a little bit more, more aggressive with the keep if he desired, but the keep will do its job right as a Lancer comes through. The keep fires off all those units, fires off all of those bullets, takes down that Lancer, and walls slowly going to be finished on the eastern side. It's about to be almost a full walled base, other than where the Barbican is and the chop through next to it.
Yep, 2 Palace Guards being annoying on the backside, maybe getting a villager. Yep, getting a villager.
Yeah.
And finally, SortOf has almost caught up with ZertoN. And at 120 villagers, ZertoN 111 for SortOf. Saying ZertoN SortOf is so difficult.
It's just tons and tons of resources flowing in for both of these players. Tons of upgrades, as you see, as obviously with resources, you're going to just make yourself get your villagers even more efficient when you have this many numbers. And look at the granaries online, almost fully online. I don't see the third one yet, but some farms in the backside being dropped. ZertoN's got another 1,000 wood to be able to transition even harder onto that, and just got lumber preservation, so bolstering that wood eco even further.
Yep. Good thing is SortOf is starting to get his food eco, and he has golden age, so that means he's already gathering 15% faster, which is pretty good. It's like having an extra eco upgrade on top of that, and if he gets the culture wing upgrade, it's like he had another food eco upgrade.
Yep. Walls. Go ahead.
In the meantime, we have a raid going on the backside, but there's already Palace Guards on top of that. We'll see if he manages to get any damage done. A singular villager on a singular farm left by himself. Poor guy.
Walls being denied on the eastern side. Few vills went down when their attempt to build it, so there still is a hole on that eastern side, but there's a keep not too far behind that, and only really ability as far as raiding goes is if he goes directly left of that and finds those deer. And look at these Lancers. They actually do end up getting to a villager on the granaries, getting one, maybe even two, before the Palace Guards can close down upon them. And really good job by sort of not letting the Palace Guards getting any swings, getting any attacks down. And Rams going down in the east.
Absolutely. Textile saving the life of a couple of villagers there. being left alive with just two. Yeah, those Rams are starting to make their way towards that keep, which doesn't have boiling oil. And keeps without boiling oil do fairly poorly versus Rams. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
The Chinese keeps will be the best ones, though, against Rams if you had to choose. But yes, you are 100% correct. Not as effective against Rams as you would want. Villagers need to jump inside, but if villagers jump inside and do this push-pull game, then they can jump out and try to burn down these Rams. But horsemen and lancers coming in to help on into the fight, but look at how fast those are going down, and those are not cheap units. Villagers can jump out and torch if they like, but archers and crossbows coming to help on out, and military for ZertoN is going around to flank the side. If those nest of bees can get an attack off without sort of noticing, it could just be an opportunity for ZertoN to close this game. There it is.
Oh, that's a
Oh
massive
my
goal.
God! Absolute devastation on the whole entire army mass that was pushed forward, and at the same time, there's a raid coming in by ZertoN. Palace Guards, crossbows coming in on the western side, and the keep should end up staying up, should be fine and good to go. Villagers jump on out, torches being pulled. Only one ram left. And opts to just finish it off with a Palace Guard and the nest of bees. Keep isn't even on fire, and the rest of the army of SortOf is going to fall. But ZertoN just threw away the whole entire army that he was attempting to raid with for absolutely nothing other than 5 vills of idle time. So bad trades on either side for these players. ZertoN, though, slowly crawling up with a single villager trying to deny the gold on the map. He has a single outpost upgrade. Sprinkled emplacement just finished. Will start firing down on the gold vills and is about to start reinforcing that with 9 Palace Guards pushing up, headed towards the stone villagers. And
oh yeah, another volley on most of those villagers are dead. They managed to escape just in the nick of time. In the meantime, the army is rotating. The entire army of ZertoN is rotating to take care of this outpost and the keep that is about to come out.
Both of these players,
a bit of undecisiveness. Where to go?
Both of these players overly doing the eco 145 to 142. At this point, Vill kills might be a benefit for whoever you're killing, as it can just be replaced easily by military. And both of these players starting to float a lot of resources. They're both at max population. It's going to start being all about a war for resources on the map. Deplete the resources and move forward, take more and more map control. And that's what we see ZertoN trying to do. Keep on the western side gold. Starting to push forward, keep on the sacred site.
ZertoN on Imperial just now and adding a ton of barracks and archery on the back. And he has military wing getting bootcamp and improved processing. So he's about to turn on the heat on ZertoN very, very quickly in the next couple of minutes, because he's about to just print units and elite units, and ZertoN, well, he doesn't have enough resources.
Double nest of bees on the vills building the keep. No reaction from SortOf yet. Keep gets canceled. Keep gets denied. Not only that, the crossbows and the Palace Guards, they're wiping the rest of those units. SortOf not taking an efficient fight, trying to dive in on the villagers on the gold. Keeps there to help those out a little bit. A vill or two will go down. But again, what did I say? The vill kills might be a benefit for the player losing them, as there's so much eco for either of these players. ZertoN's the one floating a little more, continuing to push up. He's the one putting the pressure as well. Keep attempting to go down again.
Yeah, that's not enough to just because only 8. It's going to take a while to go to 9. Those are, oh no, those are feudal camel archers.
Feudal
no.
Age Camel Archer transition. Horseman trying to circle around the nested bees. Taking down the nested bees potentially, but no, not quite able to get the first one. Quite low health, and both nested bees do end up going down, but not before they have definitely paid off so far. The Camel Archer is going to be harder to deal with for these Palace Guards. Even though they're feudal, they just need to have some upgrades come through. Upgrades are on the way. Veteran Camel Archers, Camel Rider shields as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to buy time for his upgrades to come online and his production to come online. Meanwhile, on the left side, we see a couple of Palace Guards also circling around trying to find some damage. He finally manages to come on in the middle of his base, and that's going to help clean out this army that right on his doorstep. But he needs to worry about the flanks because he has attack notifications everywhere. On the right side, we have the outpost. On the left side, we're about to see the Palace Guard. This is he's about to just to get ping notifications all over his map, and that's never good.
Yeah, it's hard to deal with anything, and that's you know, the point in time when you look back and you're like, where did all my vills on the farms go? And that's exactly what's happening right now. There's 6 crossbows just wiping vill after vill on the farms on the east. ZertoN getting his vills on the gold that he just moved to on the west, has 2 Palace Guards on top of that as well, so not really able to do what he wants to do. But look at the chop through all the way on the eastern side, sends 4 vills, sends some horsemen through, and trying to get around to get onto ZertoN's economy, but Keep immediately spots it out. No villagers on that gold that he expected because it's the southern gold, it's the western gold. ZertoN's been expanding all around this map.
Yeah, ZertoN has been doing a very good job at taking the resources that are out in the map first before taking the ones that are back into his base, the safer ones. Which is good in this situation because he has the map control, and if he can deny Abbasid from getting all their upgrades and getting all the resources on the map, Abbasid it's a really tough decision because they don't have any passive generation besides, you know, just farms, but that's for everyone.
2 bombards out, taking down the keep that was in the mid map for SortOf, and at the same time his farm, his back eco, there's Palace Guards, those crossbows. What did I say? He's gonna look back and he's gonna be like, where's my food income? The crossbows are wiping everything on it. He was at 140 something economy, and now he's down to 100, continuing to fall. No resources floating in the bank for SortOf, but ZertoN, he's got thousands of every single resource. He is continuing to pressure up. A keep dropped on the western sacred site will allow SortOf to breathe for a little bit, but that's only on the west, not on the east, not on his farms. Where's his eco?
During all of this, at some point, ZertoN dropped Imperial Palace, so he can see where every single villager of SortOf is. And the extra movement speed is really helping him with the raids, keeping SortOf occupied. And
Biology upgrade too. He's gonna make a mass Fire Lancer transition, and we all know what Fire Lancers can do against Abbasid. He could just end the game if he wants.
Absolutely, this is going to be very tough for SortOf to deal with. He really needs to start getting stone walls up, like, you know, ZertoN is doing. ZertoN is doing a great job at just slowly creeping his way into SortOf territory.
And ZertoN has 3 bombards moving across the west, and by the west he is moving to the keep, moving to the gold, moving to where the majority of SortOf's villagers are, who has dropped below 100 economy at this point in the game. He's got more than half of that, it seems like, right here on the west. 39 villagers combined between this gold and running around trying to gather wood.
Yeah, that Imperial Palace doing wonders. He just used the ability not too long ago, and with that he knows where the bulk of the villagers are, so he can just send all his Palace Guard, or a good chunk of them, into that economy, idling and getting maximum amount of kills. The power of the Imperial Palace is often overlooked. Yeah, it gives you a huge vision, but what's really important is it lets you see where the villagers are, so you can harass more effectively. This is getting very tough for SortOf. He's just at 100 villagers.
With 4 cannons, you just blink and your keep's gonna be gone, and this was the main protection point. There is one more keep, but behind these keeps, there's nothing else. And watch these Fire Lancers just going to be able to take down all of these villagers running for the hills. Gold in the east. only has 500 left on it. Yes, Abbasid are known for their trash units, but trash units can only go so far. Trash units can only do so much.
Absolutely. And look at that. He sort of is, he's running low on gold and he's trying to set up trade, but the problem is it's in complete control of his opponent.
I'm pausing it.
Here we see another fight. Well, this is just... He might be able to clean up all the seeds and all this.
Horseman tried to circle around, but only able to get one single bombard. Sort of has a significant army mass, has doubled the army mass, because ZertoN never was able to remass all the way to full because he has so much economy. He's starting to fall back with his cannons. They are such a high cost unit. Villagers circling around some palace guards, letting the keep take those down, but ZertoN needs to mass back up. Luckily, SortOf's not really going to be able to do anything with this push. It's not like what we see in some of the prior games where the ball dies and then it immediately means your whole entire eco is denied and delayed. Instead, he's going to be able to remass back up, continuing to cause pressure, and won't have any damage caused on his eco, other than, you know, maybe some vills that were trying to be forward and aggressive.
Yeah, but this is so tough. SortOf has under 200 resources on food and gold. He's running on fumes while ZertoN is absolutely rich. He can just afford to throw units away over and over and over again and not care about it. His economy is completely untouched. He has such a good and stable food economy. The golds are still healthy, still thousands of resources left. This is a very tough situation for SortOf.
No tithe barns, no pagodas. I know our viewers are upset, especially Crackety watching Chinese games. He is just, you know, there's all these kind of little intricacies when you main Chinese that you get frustrated in this pagodas. They would provide so much value right now in this game.
Look at that. SortOf desperately trying to secure this trade post and place in down markets to be able to get some trade going and some gold back into his pocket because he's so broke.
And look at this, the western side is the main side that ZertoN's focusing in on. I'm surprised he hasn't just gone for the main TCs yet at this point with how many Fire Lancers, with how much food he has in the bank. He could make, it feels like 100 Fire Lancers just dive in and kill the game. Landmark snipe the Abbasid.
Absolutely, he also has thrown away quite a few bombards, and those bombards you just right click them on the TC and the House of Wisdom. I think this game will have been over.
Villagers running in for that keep. That keeps super low still, but there is no siege over there on that side. They have gotten through some of the wooden walls with that chop through that was still there from earlier. Hand cannoneers, Fire Lancers, they dive all the way to that third TC that was built. SortOf pulling his army back to come try to clear up this raid. Has a significant amount of archers, significant amount of crossbows. Is it going to be enough to trade against those hand cannoneers and Fire Lancers though?
Oh, I don't know if this is enough because he's been fighting with casual age unit. He's so broken gold, he hasn't been able to upgrade most of his army. He's still better on everything, I think. I don't think... Oh, he only has elite horsemen.
TC goes down. Hand cannoneers still doing everything they can to just fire down on the units, the reinforcing units for SortOf. He's doing everything he can. He's still at max population. He's breathing fine. Fire Lancers and some of these other units aren't helping like they could. Mangonel moving on forward, and the mass for ZertoN is looking like it is falling.
Absolutely, but behind this, what do we have? Okay, SortOf manages to clean some villagers, but he's about to lose all those camel archers because they're completely trapped. I don't think they have a way out. Maybe if he manages to break this wall. But in the meantime, the backside, those cannons are still wreaking havoc. That manual might shut it down, but those cannons got so much value.
Fire Lancers finding another spot. The market mass has already begun, sort of trying to get his trade online. We saw a lot of traders walking by, but none none really having gold, none really delivering. 33 vills making a move, a mass exodus. I don't know where from. It would look like those might have been the traders building the market. They need to find somewhere to gather wood. Wood is running lower and lower, and the more keeps that we see around, the more that wood can just be denied from SortOf by ZertoN with just the map control and the vision that he has.
Absolutely. This is a slow death for SortOf. He really needs his trade to come online as soon as possible. But the first few traders are finally making its way in, and maybe he will be able to get those very important elite upgrades.
It frustrates me that ZertoN isn't always at max population. It means he's lacking production. With the amount of resources he has, he should just be able to, every unit that dies immediately gets replaced without any delay, any waiting. And that's really what can start elevating you to the, you know, just being able to actually make enough of a difference during these transitions. He's been killing tons and tons of villagers, tons and tons of production, keeps everything out there. But when will be the breakthrough? When will one of these players finally be able to take it from the other?
Yeah, he has a lot of production. It's just idle. It's just, I'm looking at his production. It's just idle. He's just been producing nothing but palace cars and hand cannoneers, but most of the time he's just not producing. He really needs to go back and check his hotkey game, but in the meantime he's again 200 and it doesn't matter because he has such a massive bank, and he's starting to work with the trade again. This is not good for SortOf.
Not only the trade, it is starting to be those fire lancers, and yes, while the trash units are good, the spears are good against it. The crossbows, the archers, and some of those other units are not so much. Trade hasn't really been able to fully pay off, hasn't really been able to continue to trade through this line because ZertoN cut it off. But ZertoN, he's at 152 population. Just let some villagers die. Shot through in the middle? Is that what it is?
At this point, he's starting to add traders, which is absolutely not what he should be doing. He's in gold, right gold vein. He still has 4,000 left, and he has another small gold vein. These traders are wasted population space that he really needs right now.
Yeah, this is the point where you realize, like, oh crap, look at my resources. Let me delete 20 vills, and now I'm going to actually be able to win these and actually be able to, you know, have enough of a transition to where it's not just even trades, it's beneficial trades for you.
Yeah, he's at 130 something villagers plus traders. This is way too much eco at this point. In the meantime, we see SortOf trying to do whatever he can to be able to regain position. He's trying to take down this keep that got placed by ZertoN in order to deny his trade, and he really needs to take it down as soon as possible. His bombards are slowly working it, but he's lost so many traders. That's like 10 traders just going down to that keep.
Jeez, another keep goes down. SortOf looks like he is starting to push out. Wood did get denied by one single palace guard. Villagers trying to mass up, build stone walls in the west, finally by SortOf, protecting up that sacred site potentially. And sacred site has finally been captured. Maybe ZertoN wants to put a timer on SortOf, but in reality, he should be able to have ended this game long ago, and it is back and forth. And once gold runs out on the map, this is when the favor starts going back towards the Abbasid.
Yeah, it goes back to the Abbasid, but only if they have access to wood, and right now SortOf does not have good access to wood. His only wood line is on the front, and it's being denied by a singular elite palace guard that's finally dying to that outpost. But on the sides, he really doesn't have access to more wood, and he really needs those wood for those trash units. And ZertoN has to take complete control over all the wood lines.
Yep, finally see a siege workshop dropped in the west for ZertoN, which means the cannon pops out, kills the wall, and we'll start taking down the keep after that. While the main focus, the main fight is in the eastern side, and again, ZertoN lacking the military prowess that he needs. He's at 24, whereas SortOf, he's at 70. Yeah, he's got 25 hand cannoneers in Q, but that's not doing anything for him. Where's his production? Where is everything coming out from? He needs these faster. He needs these closer.
Yeah, he definitely needs more production. He's producing from all of them, and he's idling sometimes, but he really needs more production and be sure that that production is always producing.
Bombard in the west starting to get focused down. A couple horsemen coming to help out. Will it be enough? There's a keep. There's a spring on emplacement in the outpost there. Some palace guards pop up. And the cannon stays alive. Wall has been rebuilt, and eastern side sort of continuing to push up and actually walling around the market so he secures up his own trade.
I don't understand where Sorot is getting food. I honestly don't. He's completely shot even the stealth forest. But somehow he manages to have like over 1,000 wood per minute. I guess those villagers in the middle on the tiny wood patch are putting in some work. But yeah, this is quite insane late game China versus Alice. This is what we were expecting when we saw the matchup. Just very late game boom.
Yeah, he's definitely, we're seeing the trap of thinking that, you know, villager kills is doing something at this point in the game, but it does not matter at all. What matters is your ability to continue to mass up, continue to build military, as Crackety said here in the chat. It's all about destroying the production and not allowing it. And we've already said that ZertoN seems to be lacking production, it feels like.
Ooh, sort of going straight for a frontal assault. Very interesting. Taking down this small army that was waiting there for ZertoN, and now he's starting to assault the military production, like Crackety said. He's still working on veteran units. He really needs to start working on the elite upgrades. Maybe he forgot at this point, because who hasn't gotten elite upgrades 40 minutes into the game after like 20 minutes of Imperial? But in this situation, he really needs to remember to do that.
Yes, he does. And I mean, this is the part though. It seems like SortOf is starting to push through. He's starting to delay trade, starting to deny trade, but this could be what ZertoN actually needs. Let 25 of his eco die and spend some of the resources he has in the bank. 9k gold. Look at the resources compared to what SortOf has. Hundreds of some of the other resources.
Absolutely. ZertoN has way too much eco on gold. His final goal that he's about to run out finally, but yeah, he added the traders way too early, and that shows by having 9,000 gold in the bank while having no food and just 3,000 wood in reserve. All
right, rewall has been finished by ZertoN. He successfully is down to 123 eco. And he's up at 78 military. This is what he's been needing this whole game. Is this going to finally be the breakthrough? Is this going to be the time where his military proves to be too strong? As SortOf is the one now who is only at 51 military. He's the one at the lower resource count in the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what he needs. Maybe ZertoN should be looking to go into Ming Dynasty, so just to get that extra HP onto his unit, because mobility at this point is not that big of a deal, because there are so many walls, so many keeps all around the map. You really need that extra beef instead of the extra movement speed, and that will make it so much harder for SortOf to fight.
Both players are starting to run out of wood lines. ZertoN has walled himself out of the wood line as he has villagers on the east running around the stone walls, and he's about to chop through what SortOf is actually chopping through, and it is. We see the vills starting to go down. We see the palace guards that push forward starting to get taken out, and SortOf has another, I don't know.
I don't know, indeed. I think it was very tough. He just needed one more tree and he would have been able to rush in. And he's bringing villagers to get that chop pool. He's like, I'm getting in no matter what.
Yes, he is still pushing. ZertoN still trying to push through that western side, but never able to get through this single keep. He took down one of them, but hasn't been able to get through the second. The eastern side is where he is starting to focus again, cutting off the trade, pushing through. He sees a keep there, but doesn't care. Hand Cannoneers firing on the backside. Elite Camel Archers being focused down. Palace Guards trying to run, take down everything in their path. ZertoN, though, he has numbers, but are the numbers all here together? Are they actually doing what they need to do? Some of them are focusing on the traders, some are focusing on the Camel Archers, but it seems like he is the one slowly building this up. And at the same time, both of these ecos starting to run thin in the middle as far as like trees that they can gather.
Yeah, those trees. These are the final 3 patches into this map. After that, the advantage will definitely go to SortOf because he will be able to get wood if he decides to get Trade Queen. But he cannot afford at the moment, but eventually he will be able to. Also, something that ZertoN has been doing is been fighting under the fire of this keep without any siege. He had brought like 1 trebuchet, 1 bombard, that keep would have fallen a long time ago, and this would have been so much better.
Yeah, the key thing here, though, he's also been pushing through the middle. He's also been shredding SortOf's villagers on wood, but we keep taking it. At this point, villagers, it doesn't freaking matter if you're killing them, but SortOf doesn't have resources in the bank floating like ZertoN does, so it will matter a little bit more in that regards, but the queue is finally full for ZertoN. We're finally seeing what we were complaining about earlier. Population is not dropping up below 200. Every time he has a unit die, immediately replace. Will this be his opportunity? Will this be his way back in this game? Or push, not even back in the game. Will this be the final push through in this game?
It's certainly something that had needed to be done a long time ago, but he's still fighting under SortOf keeps and directly into his reinforcement line. This is very rough. He's only producing Palace Guards, crossbow, and hand cannoneers. If SortOf just focuses on Camel Archers and Camel Riders, he can just take all of these down. This is a very rough situation.
Back to 150 on eco for ZertoN just in a blink of an eye.
Oh no, ZertoN, please. He's like, oh wait, I don't have enough eco. I don't have enough gold. Let me produce more traders.
This is just headbutting each other over and over again. When will we finally see the knockout? When will we finally see the ability to just not come back from what we've seen going on?
Oh my, this is interesting. Finally, SortOf has managed to wall the entire left side with stone walls. Exactly what he needed. There are 2 trebuchets working on that keep. He needs to take care of them eventually. But that will give him a breather because that has been quite a pain on his side for the longest time. And
there's a straight line through the middle, though, directly towards his eco, unwalled because of the wood lines.
Oh yeah, the wood lines. It goes both ways too. Like that wood is the final on the map, and yeah, it's been almost completely depleted. ZertoN final realizing and putting on the walls. This is.
This is just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But I think we are finally getting to the point we're seeing a breakthrough. We're seeing SortOf dip below 200 population, and he is not quite having the massive resource bank like ZertoN did. So slowly, if this continues on, it might be harder and harder for him to mass back up. But only if ZertoN can actually push through, only if ZertoN can actually finally make this break. Not many trees left on the map that I see for SortOf at all. Like at all.
SortOf is completely out of wood. He maybe had like 1 tree over here and there, but that's not reliable. All the wood is completely under ZertoN control, and he needs to start pushing into that if he wants to be able to win this game. That bombard is slowly chipping away at that keep, and he knows if that keep falls, his entire trade is going to fall, and he needs to fight this.
Not only that, there's some palace guards still in the midst of the trade, in the midst of the few little villagers that were on the woodline left. They're trying to find a place to go, trying to find somewhere to go. SortOf 150 food into the bank. He's at 177 eco. ZertoN still sitting at 200 to 200 with 12k gold.
He has so many traders. This is over booming on traders. He has this is 27 traders. That's way too many, especially when you have this much of a gold bank.
Yeah, and as you mentioned it, that keep went down on the trade, and the keep for ZertoN is starting to slowly, if there aren't military units here, fire down on traders trying to drop off as well. Still pushing through, still causing eco idle. The keep has gone down on the western side. If ZertoN wants, he can grab the sacred site, but a quick re-wall from SortOf with some of those vills, but this allows military units to just plop down over here on the west and just chill.
Yeah, there are enough units to cause enough disruption for sort of to send a sizable military to clean them up. In the meantime, he's slowly pushing into the right side. All the traders are starting to go down. There is an outpost that's going to secure that any traders that manages to get to the trade post are just gonna die. The markets are dying. Everything is dying on the right side. I think we're finally starting to see the end of this game.
Or the beginning of the end. It's 10 more minutes now. It is does finally start to see the beginning of the end. SortOf just hasn't been able to stabilize back to 200 population. He's been at 170 or so, but just not able to get back to where he needs to get to. And those cannon towers, there's 30 villagers on the final wood on those two cannon towers in the middle. So that could be a blessing in disguise, but not so much because he is at 140, 139, SortOf. He's starting to fall. ZertoN, he's up at 200. It is going to be over. I don't think SortOf's going to be able to come back from this. It's finally the breakthrough. There's no wood left. There's going to be no eco left whatsoever.
Yeah, you cannot survive on food only. You need wood or gold, and right now SortOf doesn't have any wood or gold gathering, so this is very, very strong. Desperate plea in the middle, but it's just too much.
314 villager kills. Just a few that game.
Just a couple. Just your regular 15-minute games.
Oh my god. Well.